Dear students, welcome once again. Myself, B.T. Thate, Department of Physics, Balbhim College, Bid. In the previous lecture, we have seen that modern and nuclear physics, this paper consists of 4 chapters. This photoelectric effect, X-rays, nuclear forces and models, and fourth one, that is particle accelerators and detectors. In the previous lecture, we have started the first chapter, that is photoelectric effect, in which the first bit is photoelectric effect. So let us see once again the photoelectric effect. When the light of particular frequency it is incident on the cathode surface, then the electrons are emitted from the cathode and they are attracted towards the anode, and hence the circuit begins and we will get the current in the emitter. This effect of ejections of photoelectrons from the metal surface when the light is incident on the cathode surface is called as the photoelectric effect. Let us see the second bit of this chapter, photoelectric effect, that is Lennard's method to determine E by M for photoelectrons. E means charge of the photoelectrons and M means mass of the photoelectrons. Lennard used a photoelectric effect to determine E by M of photoelectrons. Lennard's apparatus to find out E by M of photoelectrons is as shown in figure below. It consists of evacuated glass tube G, which is completely evacuated, means vacuum is there in that glass tube. It has a side tube, that is T, which is used to create the vacuum in the glass tube G. It consists of cathode C, window W and anode A with small pinhole. It also consists of 2 metal electrodes P1 and P2 connected to the electrometers E1 and E2. The value of E by M for photoelectrons was determined by Lennard using perpendicular magnetic field to deflect the photoelectrons. So let us see the diagram of Lennard's apparatus. See, as I have mentioned, it consists of a glass tube G. It has side tube, that is capital T, which is used to create the vacuum. It also consists of cathode C, a small pinhole anode A, electrodes P1 and P2 which are connected to the electrometers E1 and E2. Now what happens if we incident the light on the cathode surface, then the electrons are emitted and they are attracted towards the anode A, but due to the small pinhole in the anode, they comes towards the electrode, that is P1. Electrons are shown in red dot, they are attracted towards the plate P1, and the measure of that electrons, it is counted in electrometer E1. But what happens if we apply the perpendicular magnetic field which is in the circle, which is shown in the circle? Then what happens, instead of going electrons in a straight way, that is towards the P1, they are attracted towards the electrometer, they are attracted towards the electrode P2 due to the magnetic field. The electrons moves in a circular path and they are attracted towards the electrode P2. The measure of that electrons is counted in the electrometer, that is E2. Now what happened, if cathode C is at negative potential and light of particular frequency incident on the cathode, photoelectrons emitted which are accelerated towards the anode A. These charged particles passing through pinhole in A, they move straight towards the P1 with uniform velocity. Then electrometer E1 shows the deflection. Then if we apply the uniform magnetic field B capital B perpendicular to the plane of the figure, so that electrons are deflected towards the P2. Due to this, electrometer E2 shows the deflection. Lenard studied relation between the current and the retarding potential. As first, he applied high positive potential V to cathode. In this case, the current is 0 in the emitter. Then he decreases positive potential up to the plus 2 volt. At this potential, small current is flowing through the circuit. It means few electrons are acquired enough velocity to overcome the retarding potential of plus 2 volt. If the potential is further decreased towards the negative value, the current increases and reaches a maximum saturation value for minus 20 volt. Relation between retarding potential and photocurrent is as shown in the graph. See the graph. At first he applied the positive potential, so there is no current, but at plus 2 volt there is a small current, photocurrent. Again he decreased the voltage in the right hand side, minus 5 volt, minus 10 volt, minus 15 volt and minus 20 volt. You find out the maximum current at minus 20 volt. Now see the mathematical expression to find out the E by M for the photoelectrons. See, if we incident the light on the cathode surface and applied the capital V, V is the potential difference in between the cathode and the anode. Then at the surface of the cathode, small e into capital V, that is E into V, is the potential energy of that electrons on the cathode surface. When we incident the light, then they are ejected from the cathode and they acquired the kinetic energy to that emitted photoelectrons, so that the potential energy, that is E into capital V, is converted into the kinetic energy, so that we can write out equation number 1, that is kinetic energy half mv square is equivalent to the potential energy of the photoelectrons when they are on the cathode surface. So half mv square is equal to E into capital V. It is your equation number 1, where E is the charge, V is the velocity of the photoelectrons and m is the mass of the photoelectrons. Now what happens when we apply the perpendicular magnetic field shown by circle? Then photoelectrons moves in a circular path with the radius capital R. Due to this photoelectrons have centripetal force mv square by R. As they are moving in a circular path, they have centripetal force mv square by R. This force is balanced by the force due to the magnetic field, which is equal to capital B E into V, where capital B is the magnetic field, E is the charge on the photoelectrons and V is the velocity acquired by the photoelectrons. So that centripetal force is equal to the magnetic force, that is mv square by capital R is equal to capital B E V, which is equal to V get cancel in the left hand side and the right hand side, so that mv by R is equal to capital B into E. Now we will find out the value of V, that is velocity of the photoelectrons. So V is equal to capital B E capital R divided by m, which is your equation number 2. Put this value of V, that is BER by m, in the equation 1. What is your equation 1? Equation 1 is half mv square is equal to EV. So put the value of small v, which we have found in the equation number 1. So if we put the value of small v, that is velocity, then half m is as it is, but the value of v, that is small v, velocity of the photoelectrons, is equal to BER by m. So here half mv square. So square that v. So it is b square e square r square divided by m square, and the right hand side is as it is, that is e into v. So if we solve this equation, there is half b square, e get cancelled. See, in the left hand side there is a e square, and in the right hand side there is a e, small e. So e get cancelled. So that the equation becomes half b square e now only, because e get cancelled, r square divided by m is equal to capital V, which is the potential. Now what we have to find out? We have to find out the value of E by m, that is charge to mass ratio for the photoelectrons. So just find out the value of the E by m and take the remaining whatever quantities are there to the right hand side. So E by m is equal to 2V divided by V square by R square, which is equation number 3. So now we have the value of E by m by Lennard's method, which is equal to 2V divided by V square by R square. By knowing the value of V, that is applied potential, applied magnetic field, that is V, and capital R, which is the radius of the circular path which is moving in the circular path, we can easily find out E by m to the photoelectrons. Thank you.